Now to the conversation of the day. The Chartered Institute of Project Managers of Nigeria has been vocal about issues of abandoned projects in the country, and they have expressed concerns that the prevalence of abandoned projects is hindering Nigeria's development and has cost the country significantly. Some estimate more than 90% of federal government projects are abandoned or stalled, with an estimated value of more than 12 trillion naira. Now, coming from the report we just watched, where the Standard Organization of Nigeria is also ensuring stakeholders in the built industry adhere to standards. The role of regulating project management practices and providing training and certification for project managers in addressing the issues for economic growth is therefore the urgency of now. And that is why we have in the studio at this time the Registrar and Secretary to the Council of CIPMN, Harry Ifeanyi Mbadiwe. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great. As of 2020, data shows more than 90% of federal government projects are abandoned or stalled. And these projects in infrastructure consisting of roads, bridges, we have airports and others, power and energy, in water supply and sanitation, healthcare, education, among others, are they're estimated in value to cost about 12 trillion naira, like we've said earlier on. Can you relate with these numbers? Is it the reality of the moment?
It is obvious that I mean, when you walk outside, you can see a lot of abandoned projects. And yes, some of these figures are actually very relatable over a very long extended period of time. But I think what you have to also consider is that one of the reasons why this happens is because you do not have the right individuals and the right processes around planning, initiating and delivering these projects. Once you put those bits in place, I can assure you, you'll begin to see less and less of abandoned projects within this country.
Now, some of the causes said to be funding constraint, part of it is also corruption, lack of inadequate planning, which you've mentioned, coordination of policy changes, and security. What's your take? Though you've mentioned some of it, but on a larger scale, and following what you've discovered as CIPMN, what are the real issues? Yes, you've been doing advocacy, you've been reaching out to the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, as well as with other collaborations. What's the true situation on ground, and what steps are being taken in the immediate and long term to ensure these things are resolved?
So the law establishing the Chartered Institute of Project Managers of Nigeria states that for you to lead a project in Nigeria, for you to be employed or in any position to manage a project in Nigeria, you need to be licensed by the Chartered Institute of Project Managers of Nigeria. We have been set up, and we're the first organization in this country to be set up by an Act of National Assembly to ensure that we regulate activities within this sector. We regulate the trainings within this sector. We regulate the individuals delivering projects in this sector. And then we regulate the companies delivering projects in this sector. So how do we do that? By ensuring that you have the right skill set delivering the right type of project. It is not easy to do. Nigeria is a very large country, and one of the things that we have noticed is that a lot of organizations work in silos. Even when you look at MDAs, many of them work in silos. There is something you need to understand. If we do not begin to get to the point where we bind these experiences together and use these joint efforts to deliver projects successfully in this country, we are not going to get it right. Why? Because a project that is being delivered, for example, in the Ministry of Finance might have another knock-on impact to another ministry or another agency somewhere else. A project that is being delivered by Smedan, for example, might have a knock-on impact on one or two other parts of the economy. Even when you look at the private sector also, this institute is also supposed to regulate individuals delivering projects in the private sector. It's not just public sector. But one of the things that is key about project management is that it is a skill set, a very unique skill set that enables an individual who has this skill set to bring to life something that does not exist, something that creates a change, something that is unique. When you have something that is to bring about a change and is unique, you would always have uncertainties. It is these uncertainties that create a lot of the problems that we see in projects today. There is a particular skill set that you need to manage these uncertainties, and we need to begin to build our human capital development to that point where we'll be able to tackle the serious challenges in the project sector in this country, so that we can stop wasting money, stop wasting human resources, and go straight to the point of delivering value for the average citizens.
Now, coming from your experience outside this country, what is the global best practice that Nigeria is yet to adopt?
If you look at Nigeria, there are a lot of practices happening in Nigeria. Some people use the Prince 2, some people use nothing, some people use PMP, which is a product of PMI. You know, Nigeria is a country that has a diverse population, religious, ethnic, political diversities, you know, in Nigeria. And yes, all of my working experience has been in the UK. And having been in the UK and delivering projects for multinationals in the UK, I have come to understand that one of the key things, as you mentioned, the projects are delivered not by how people feel, not by how we think it should be done, not by how my Oga says we should do it, but by following a global best practice. There are frameworks and methodologies for delivering different types of projects. If you're a Federal Ministry of Communications, you can't be delivering projects or technology projects without considering using Agile, or without delivering software projects without using Scrum. You're just going to be going around in circles, wasting time and delivering projects that probably would not even give the actual value. If you are in a construction sector, healthcare sector, financial services sector, there are different methodologies to use. Our job, as a regulatory body, is to make sure that we work with the public and the private sector to streamline these methodologies and frameworks. In fact, we even went a step further to we are creating a new project management methodology in Nigeria called DUCAP. Now, that methodology is designed for you to be able to deliver projects effectively in an environment such as Nigeria, where you have a diverse ethnic, cultural, and political, strains across the entire country. So that methodology is specifically designed for Nigeria and a lot of, countries that share the same, structure as the Nigerian state. But we cannot just say, oh, we're going to go and adapt something. We must indigenize it. We must make sure it is relevant to what is happening here. And this is the remit that CIPMN has to cover. It's not just about licensing people or giving certificates. No, it is about ensuring that we create a best practice for Nigeria, relevant to Nigeria. We have been working on this methodology, and very soon, we've unveiled it a little bit, but very soon we are going to go all out and produce something that we can use to deliver projects in Nigeria that will be effective, help us save money and time.
Well, talking about domesticating the right skills and methodologies. Now, with the trainings and your advocacy for professionalism over time, you've also advocated the use of technology in all of this. So what is the expected impact in the immediate and long term?
What we will begin to see will be better collaboration. There's an idea that we're pushing, and that idea is that that organizations begin to consider having what we call a PMO office. It is a very simple idea, a coordinating office that can help to support every type of project delivered within that organization. Now that's just one of the ideas that we're coming with. One thing you have to understand is this: with a proper project management delivery practice in any organization, you would see that not only do you deliver on time and within budget, but you deliver according to the requirement. Have you had an experience where perhaps a project is being initiated in a particular organization, and by the end of it, you're thinking, this is not even what we wanted. Nobody consulted us before doing this. You are delivering this project and you've impacted my department, and nobody even called me about it. This is because there's so much disjoint effort happening in different organizations. We need to streamline this. CIPMN is poised, and that is why we have been inducting new members, we've been running trainings, we have been making sure that we build up the skill sets within the organization. CIPMN has created the first ever project management curriculum with the National University Commission, which means you can go into a Nigerian university now using the core curriculum minimum academic standard in NUC, to run a degree program from first year to final year. CIPMN has worked with Industrial Training Fund, ITF, to create a project management framework and methodology for training artisans in the skill of project management. Look around you, from working on your vehicles to making your dresses to building your house. You have artisans everywhere. They need the skill set to be able to plan, to be able to prioritize, to be able to manage resources, to be able to give you updates. Many of us are frustrated, so working with ITF has been able to begin, or we'll see ourselves working with them to push this skill set into artisans. So we are gradually moving into different parts of the Nigerian economy to begin to build this skill set. You need to invest in people. It is human beings that build the houses. It is human beings that do every single thing we see in this country. And if you increase human capital, I assure you, you'll begin to see a change.
Now, look, to borrow your words, talking about disjointed efforts. Now you're planning all of this to ensure that the sector is where it should be. Where's the place of collaboration, particularly with other stakeholders like the Standards Organization of Nigeria and those in that discipline?
Fantastic. I'm very happy that you asked that question. I remember my first meeting with the Director General, Dr. Ifeanyi Okeke. It was a lovely session, and I can tell you right now that the Standard Organization of Nigeria is the paramount standard regulatory organization in this country. And CIPMN has worked with, or is working with SON, all right, not only to create a standard for managing projects in Nigeria, as we are currently doing at the moment, we're also working with SON, we have also worked with SON to upskill the directors within the agency. All right, so all of the top directors within the agency, and we have worked with them to look at how to imbibe the project management training across other levels within SON. That is a feat that shows that this Standard Organization of Nigeria understand what it means to respect standard and to implement that standard. All right, so we're working with them and we're collaborating with a whole lot of other ministries and agencies. But as you know, I mentioned about individuals working in silo. CIPMN is the only regulatory body in Nigeria that is designed and has been established by an Act of National Assembly to regulate project management practice in Nigeria. As long as you are delivering projects, you need to make sure that we get involved. Not involved in delivering a project, but ensuring that the processes, the individuals delivering these projects are of the right experience and certification and have the licensing requirements to do so. And we can help. We are not there to get paid about regarding this. We are there to ensure we do our job. And our job is to make sure that we all understand what it means to deliver project properly. And we do that, save time, save money, and give benefit to the Nigerian population.
Okay, on a closing note, where do you hope to see CIPMN in the next 5 or 10 years?
That's a very, in Nigeria, it's might be difficult to answer that question precisely, but
yes, I know the challenges. We know the story.
Yes,
we know the hiccups. Coming from a society where things work smoothly to coming to another. Things a little bit people don't get to understand things. But amid the hurdles and everything, what are the projections?
I can see CIPMN properly integrated into all MDAs in Nigeria. I can see all the departments around planning, and every department, monitoring and evaluation, all the departments that have to do with delivering projects have professionals within those departments. Now, one of the things that we're doing to push this, we're having a massive event on the 2nd to the 5th of December, and we are inaugurating new members, and it's the first ever project management conference organized by CIPMN in Nigeria. The first ever project management conference, 2nd to the 5th of November. And that program is going to be, we're having a lot of people coming from, the National Assembly, to Director Generals of organizations, to ministers, to chief executives in the private sector. They're all coming in, and we're going to understand the relevance of project management in Nigeria. We're also inducting new members. Now, one of the things that I would want to say is, as we keep pushing in the line that we're going, within 3 to 5 years, medium term, you would see that individuals would begin to want to have the skill set to deliver projects. You would see that individuals would desire to know how to do it better. You would see that confidence would begin to get restored in the individuals who have this license. The head of service is going to issue out a statement saying that if you are in the public sector and if you want to be promoted, or if you want to head a project in the civil service or in the public sector, you need to be licensed and you need to update yourself and maintain best practices. We're going to see private sector individuals coming in, all right, and saying, look, we want to get licensed, we want to obey the law, because it is the law. We want to obey the law to make sure that we regulate and standardize our project delivery practices in this country. You are going to begin to see a nation that has started delivering projects where we can have an idea from the beginning and then deliver that idea up until the end, and then the value or the outcome of that project begins, or we begin to see the relevance of those outcomes. All right, and there are a lot of things I would like to share, and I know that we're limited for time. But
we are actually but it's a conversation that is actually ongoing, and like we will keep monitoring to see how events unfold, particularly from your big event afterwards, and all the impact. Thank you so very much, Henry Ifeanyi Mbadiwe, Registrar CIPMN.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, Business Express continues after this break. Don't go away.